Hey folks, Oscar with Show Me Sentinel here. Today I got a special guest, Niles Stephens, here with me. And Niles, thanks for coming on and joining the podcast today. And before we get into your race, Niles, I just wanted to have you tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and what your roots look like in the community. I know me personally, just about every conservative group or meeting that I go to, you happen to be there. So I feel like it might be a quicker intro to just tell us what you're not in. But honestly, yeah, go ahead, Niles. The floor is yours.
I would describe myself as a husband, a father, and a conservative leader. I'm from Southwest Missouri originally, so Nixa area. Springfield is where I grew up. Met my wife down there. She was going to school at Southwest Missouri State at the time, and this St. Louis area is home for her. So we moved around a little bit when we were young, but we had always planned to come to the St. Louis area and start a family, and so that's what we did. I've been in St. Louis since 2003. I've been in Wildwood since 2011, and I've been really involved in the community just outside of politics and government as well. I've been an HOA president. I walk my neighborhood and pick up trash, and try to help people out that way. Volunteer a lot at church, so I did all of the church services, like for the Christmas and Easter productions when we were at our church out in Calvary Church out in St. Charles for a long time, and a lot of youth sports when my kids were younger. So I've been a basketball coach, a baseball coach, football coach. I served on the Park Rock Swim Club board. I've been a booster club president in Rockwood School Board. So I've just always been and just always try to do my part to help people in the community.
Very good. What are some of the organizations that you are part of and member of as well?
Yeah, for in the more political side of things, I'm the managing director for MoTax Relief Now. That's a group that did the senior property tax freeze and kind of really got the ball rolling on the big tax push that we're seeing this year. So we're seeing tax freezes all across the state. We're seeing people kind of push back on some of these local taxing districts like in Jefferson County, St. Charles County, St. Louis County, where there are enough conservatives, enough fiscal conservatives, they're finally stepping up and saying no. And so I'm really proud of the work that we've done with MoTax Relief Now. I've also been on Wildwood City Council. I've helped Rockwood School Board candidates run for office. Some successful, some not. That's a tough go in these April elections for getting conservatives elected to school boards. But we did some battle there to try to push a conservative agenda in the schools. I'm an elected member of the Republican Party, so I'm a Wild Horse Township committee man, and in that role, I organize the town hall meetings. I help get out the yard signs. I help get out the vote, keep voters engaged, and I was elected delegate for the 2024 National Convention. So I went to Milwaukee to help support President Trump and J.D. Vance, and was down on the floor holding my signs and cheering them on. And then also went to the inauguration to represent the state and saw our 47th president inaugurated.
I was there as well, so that was a glorious time, and it was the safest I ever felt in Washington, D.C. I'll just leave it at that. So
yeah, they did
definitely
a great job.
So back to the senior property tax, I'm hearing that we now have 91 of 115 counties in Missouri who have passed that. So that's good. Good on you guys there for that.
It is the most popular bill maybe ever in the state of Missouri. When they put the senior property tax freeze, when they passed the legislation, how it works is the local county, they can put forward their own. So the county commissioners, they can just get together, they can write a bill, pass it, and freeze taxes. If they don't do it, you can also do a petition, and a citizen-led petition can get it on the ballot to freeze the taxes. So we've worked with county commissioners to help them craft their legislation and to make sure that they're getting the full freeze for their seniors. And we've also worked with the people that are doing the petition drives, which has helped a lot of candidates run for office, actually. So there's some fiscal conservatives out there in the rural areas, and they'll take that petition around to their neighbors and get them to sign up, and it helps get their name out, helps protect the seniors, and helps lower taxes. And it's been a great bill, not only for the tax incentives, but also for pushing that fiscal conservative message.
Well, very good. Well, thank you for all that. Let's dive back into a little bit of who Niles is. So, Niles, at what moment or series of moments pushed you from concerned citizen to actually running and participating in this?
Sure. I've always been just interested in government, politics, those types of things. And I've always been somebody who wants to be involved in the community and help my neighbors. And so during the Obama years, I did a lot of stuff online, just, Facebook, Twitter, comment boards, things like that, just to try to push kind of push back on what the Obama administration was doing to our country and the racial division that was happening and just the terrible policies that were coming from the Obama administration, pushing back on those online. And then when the 2016 elections happened, after that, I was like, well, I don't want to just do stuff online. I actually want to, get out of the house and be involved. I don't want to be a keyboard warrior. I want to go see where I can plug in. And so I went to a coffee with the mayor meeting at our local municipality. I live in Wildwood. And I said, hey, how do you, I'll join a board, a commission, how do you volunteer? What do you do? And some lady in the back, stood up after the meeting. She's like, hey, you want to get involved? Here's my card. You call me. And they were putting together a slate of candidates to run for city council. And so they vetted me, and I got to ask them questions. They asked me a lot of questions. We hit it off well. And I think like 17, 18 months later, I was on the city council in Wildwood.
Oh, very good. So a lot of people are frustrated, but they stay on the sidelines. Why didn't you do that?
Well, so my dad, when I was growing up, he really taught me what it's like or what it means and how you're supposed to help your neighbors. And so he would work out of town on the railroad 40 hours a week and come home on Thursday afternoons or Friday mornings. And then he would somehow work another 40 hours a week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just helping his neighbors. He would do electrical service. He would help you pull your boat dock in from the middle of the lake. Just a very skilled, very technical knowledge type of, blue-collar guy was my father. And so he really taught me what it was like to serve my neighbors and to help other people. But he died when I was 17. So he passed away when I was just before my senior year of high school. And one of the voices that I found to kind of fill that male role model almost, or that male voice in my life, was actually Rush Limbaugh. And so when I started listening to Rush Limbaugh back in the day, that was during his heyday in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he was at the top of his game. And he really taught me what it is to be a conservative, to think about American exceptionalism, to think about patriotism, to think about conservatism, small government, all the things that are important to me, that are important to the Republican Party. And so I kind of combine those two things together. I take my dad's hard work and serving neighbors along with some of the philosophical things that I learned from Rush Limbaugh or some of the other conservative leaders that are out there.
Very good. Niles, the next couple questions have to do with the race. So, for one, what office are you running for, and what does that office actually do for just everyday people in plain English, plain terms?
Sure. So I'm running for State Representative, House District 110. So House District 110 serves the city of Wildwood, which is about 35,000 people, and then a little sliver of Clarkson Valley. So a state representative is going to be the closest to the people at the state level, right? State Senate serves a much bigger part of the county, and our state level, they're statewide. So as a state representative, basically we pass bills that people want passed, and so it's our job to talk to the voters, to talk to the business owners, and to talk to the people that are involved. And so the state representatives, they're going to put forth the most bills, they're going to be pushing legislation, but it represents what the people want. And so my job as a state representative is to listen to the constituents and to take their voice and put it into legislation and to advocate for them, at Jefferson City at the Capitol.
Okay, very good. What's the single biggest problem in your district or jurisdiction that you think isn't getting the attention that it deserves?
We are in a very affluent area. So Wildwood and Clarkson Valley, we should be the economic engine, and we are the drivers for the St. Louis economy, and St. Louis is the economic engine for the state. And so that's why I'm going to focus on the money, the budget, appropriations, and pocketbook issues for families. So anything that we can do to make government more efficient, to get government out of your way. People that live out here in Wildwood, these are doctors, lawyers, CEOs, business owners. These are people that if the government just leaves them alone and lets the market work, they will boom, they will flourish. They will hire more people, they will help our economy grow. And so my job is, I think, to get the government out of their way. So little things. So like this year, if they don't pass the getting rid of the emissions inspections for your cars when you go get your car licensed in St. Louis, that's one thing. Like that's, it's not that big of a deal, but it is. It's another chore. It's another errand. It's another thing that somebody has to take time out of their day to do that doesn't do anything to help anybody. We're not saving the planet by getting a 12-year-old car emissions inspections before you get your tags on it. So pocketbook issues for families, budgets, appropriations, all the money, and making sure that we are as efficient as possible with our tax dollars.
Okay, very good. So, Niles, who are you running for? In that, paint me a picture of the constituent you wake up thinking about serving, as the House of Representatives in Jefferson City.
Yeah, I'm focused on families. I'm a family man. I've got 3 kids. My focus will be fighting for your family and actually delivering results. There's a lot of people out there that they're really good at fighting. They're really good at making a lot of noise, but they don't actually get anything done. So I want to wake up every day to really think about, how are your kids doing in school? What can we do to help them with their education? Are we helping young people entering the workforce? So in my 9-to-5 job as well, I help young men start their career. So I hire 18 to 25-year-olds and help them learn a skilled trade so that they can get a steady paycheck and they can build their life here in St. Louis. So, and then also for our area, we are an affluent area, but we're also maybe just a little bit older than some of other areas of the county and other areas of the state. So the constituents out here, they want public safety. They want a strong police force. They want prosecutors that are going to put criminals in jail and get them off of the streets. And so those are things that our constituents in Wildwood, that they're really focused on. Don't tax me too much. Get out of my way. Make sure we have good schools, good roads, they want government to work. They run businesses and they make sure their business is working. They want a government that's going to match their productivity and match their level of professionalism in Jefferson City.
Okay, very good. So next couple of questions are going to deal with values and vision, Niles. So what's a conviction that you hold that might surprise people, something they wouldn't expect from a candidate like you?
I don't know if I would really surprise anything. I'm pretty much like you get what you see here. I've, like I said, been involved in the community for a long time, so I care about my neighbors. I'm a family man. I've got 3 kids. I've been married to the same woman for 25 years, so I really care about taking care of my wife, taking care of my kids, taking care of my neighbors, and I'm a hard worker. And so you pretty much, what you see is what you get. And if anybody's seen me at all these meetings that we go to, I think that they're gonna see that as well. They see that I'm there, that I run a good meeting, that I show up on time, that I'm well prepared. So I don't think I have anything that's really going to surprise people. I would say I'm running as a conservative. I'm definitely a conservative guy. I'm going to promote traditional conservative family values. But at the same time, I'm not one of these like burn it down conservatives who is just going there to make noise and to try to overthrow I'm gonna go in there and tell people what it's like and how to do things. I'm going in there as one of 163 members of the House, and so I'm gonna do what I know how to do best, which is to build relationships, to work with other people, to help other people out, and build a consensus to make sure that I can get their buy-in for my constituents' concerns in Jefferson City.
Very good. So it sounds like you're not one of these alt-right guys that just wants to make a name for yourself so you could come back and have a podcast.
Yeah, no, I'll leave
afterwards,
that.
Right?
You've got that.
All right. So, Niles, I should say this: if you win or when you win, either one, and serve one full term, what does success look like?
So success for me is about the fundamentals and about what it means to be a good legislator. So that means knowing your committee assignment backwards and forwards, knowing your committee members that you work with, and knowing what's going to motivate them to get on board with your ideas. It's about knowing the rules of the House so that when you have a bill or you have a priority out there, that priority doesn't get sidetracked because of the people who make the rules of the House. And then also constituent service are going to be a big part of what I do. So making sure that I'm still doing these town hall meetings. So I ran town hall meetings for our former rep, Justin Sparks. So I helped set him up on legislative reviews, on right to life issues, on crime and public safety, on tax issues. And so making sure that I'm connected with the people and that I know what I'm doing there. And also making sure that I am building those relationships, because I don't plan on serving one term. I plan on serving multiple terms, and I know that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, but it's only 8 years. So you only have a short amount of time. So 8 years seems like a long time, but when you're in it, it's going to go by super fast. And so to make sure that I know the people, I know the players, I know the process, those are the things that are going to be important to me in my first term.
Very good. So you did touch on this already, relationship-wise, but how do you think about the relationship between government and the people it serves, and where's the line?
Well, unfortunately, for a lot of people, there's a lot of apathy out there. I was actually talking to a coworker today, and he knows a lot about the government. He has strong opinions, and we have very deep philosophical discussions about how the government should. We solve the world's problems at my work, right? But then I asked him, I was like, hey, did you go vote on this, this fire district thing, yesterday? He's like, oh, I'm busy. I didn't do it. And so, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who need a little more, a call to action, if you will, to get them a little bit more involved. And for the people who do show up every time, there's a good group of conservative Republicans who come to a lot of our meetings, just making sure that I stay connected with them, making sure, because they're the ones that send out the emails, that do the podcast, that do a lot of the grassroots organization that I want to build up some other people coming in behind me to make sure that the grassroots is getting the messaging out to the people. And with AI, with the internet, and with the misinformation that you can sometimes see online, making sure that we get the truth out there and that we have a big enough platform and a big enough voice at the state, using these state level positions to make sure that people are getting the full story. Those are the things that'll be important.
Okay, very good. The next couple questions, Niles, are going to deal with accountability and credibility too. So what in your background, your work, your life experience actually qualifies you in your mind to do this job?
Well, I think I've got a history already, so I've helped people get elected. When it just comes to campaigning and messaging, I've proven that I can connect with voters and that I can move the needle when it comes to driving a message home. I've proven that I have beat back a tax increase for our local area. So they did a special election in 2025 in our school district area, and I helped lead the charge on that to beat that proposition and to save people money. So in Wildwood City Council, I am on record and my votes show that I am a fiscal conservative. So when the mayor wanted to put $250,000 of plantings in the middle of the highway, we were part of the group that said, no, we'll do 50,000. Making sure that we're watching the money, that we're watching the budgets. I've done that. Like I said, worked on tax increase issues, the messaging issues. So I have a good track record, and I've proven myself as a conservative. I've proven myself as a fiscal conservative, as a family man. I've definitely proven that I am a good representative as far as just being honest and trustworthy and making sure that people know where I stand and that they can, when I tell them something, that I will get it done and I will do it.
Very good. Whether someone agrees with you or not, they'll know where you stand on that particular subject matter. So I know sometimes politicians double speak and you get done asking them a question and you're like, I don't really know where they actually stand. So that's good. I definitely appreciate that. So what's something you've changed your mind on over the last few years, and what changed it?
I would say, like on the federal level, I'm not a big fan of the war in Iran. I don't think anybody is. The Iraq war really put a sour taste in my generation's, when it comes to foreign policy and what we're doing at the federal level. Now, we hired President Trump to do a job, and he's doing it. And I hope that he's successful, and we'll see how it turns out 6 months from now. But, whenever the Iraq war first started, that was right after 2000 or after, 9/11. I was a big supporter, and let's go over there, let's kick some ass, and let's take some names, and let's change this thing. And that the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, they were a quagmire. They really kind of changed my outlook on just foreign policy at the federal level. At the state level, it's all about the money and the budgets, and just making sure that we've went from we've doubled our budget in the last 8 to 10 years, and that only happens because people keep spending the money, and you keep giving them the money, they're going to keep spending it. And so a big focus on the money is going to be important. I don't know if I've really changed on that, and so one of the ways that I've kind of grown as somebody who is involved in politics and involved in government is that I really started digging into the numbers to make sure that I have a good understanding of how a budget works, where these numbers are coming from, what are the historical trends, and why are we doing this? How does it compare to other states? How does this school district compare to another school district? And really making sure that I have enough background and enough knowledge that I'm not just out here saying, cut taxes because we can cut taxes. Well, those every time you cut taxes, that could be a service that you cut as well. So making sure that I have a good understanding of what's going on, and not just talking philosophically, but actually with detail and with accuracy. That's one of the things that I've really worked on over the years.
Okay, very good. Appreciate that, Niles. If a constituent calls your office with a problem and you can't fix it, what do you tell them?
I'm going to try to find who can fix it then. And sometimes there's no easy answer. Sometimes nobody can fix it. And the main thing there is if they've got a problem that just is not going to get fixed, or it's not going to get fixed in the timeline that they want it fixed, is to make sure and be honest with them. And don't just feed them a load of BS and say, oh, I'm on it, don't worry, it'll happen, and then nothing ever gets done. That is what is frustrating to people.
Very good. What do you want voters who've never heard of you to know before they walk into that booth?
I would say I want voters to know that I'm here for the right reason. I'm here because I really care about my community. I'm here because I am invested in the process of how we build a community and how we build a state government, and that they don't have to worry about whether or not I'm in it for the wrong reason. And I think that that's what scares a lot of people about politicians. They feel like people might be self-serving, or they're doing this for some other kind of game. And I just want people to know that I'm running for the House of Representatives. I want to serve my full term, and I want to continue in this role. I want to continue, serving the public. I want to be a part of the solution. I want to be a part of growing Missouri. And I think that you have to have good people in there that are honest, that are transparent, and that are going to do the hard work, and I am definitely that guy.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Niles. So we'll talk a little bit about Mo tax relief now. And you have sprinkled it into your answers, but we'll get a little more granular here with that. So you're in leadership at Mo tax relief now. And for the listeners who haven't heard of it, just what is that organization again, and what are you fighting for?
So Mo Tax Relief Now was actually started back in 2007 by the founder. His name is Dennis Ganal. And when he first got involved, he had a couple of issues that he was working on. And he's kind of like me. He's just a very involved family man guy that just wants to make things better and wants to be a part of the process. And so he got involved in 2007. He helped make the assessor an elected position instead of an appointed position. He helped raise the circuit breaker to help lower income families on their property taxes. And so he had some early success. And then Representative Ben Keithley decided to run for office. The founder, Dennis, wanted to help him do the senior property tax freeze. And so that was a very important issue to him. And whenever they started that, everybody loved it. All right. So everybody, when they pitched the idea, everybody loves the senior property tax freeze. But everybody also told them that that's a great idea and it could happen in, 3 to 5 years. Just keep pushing hard. Maybe you'll get there one day. And Dennis was like, no, I'm old. I got to get this done right now. I'm already a senior. I'm not waiting around for this. And they got it done in 1 year. And so they did something that is almost unprecedented, is a major property tax reform through the House, through the Senate, to the governor's desk, signed, put into action. And then they had to do a follow-up bill the next year with 757 to kind of clean up some of the language. You never get it exactly right the first try. So they passed 190, which was the senior tax freeze. They did a cleanup bill the next year. And then we've still been working on it year after year. So we got 3 more counties this year. Worked with St. Louis County to make sure that they gave the constituents a full freeze, not just a partial freeze. And MoTax Relief Now is really focused. We're the only group that's really focused on the taxpayer. When you go to Jefferson City and they have a committee hearing and you start talking about taxes, there's 1,800 people in charcoal gray suits that are lobbyists, that are working for the taxing districts. They're working for the public utilities. They're working for the school districts. They're working for the firefighters. That everybody comes out of the woodworks. They are the players in Jefferson City, and they're there for the money. They're there for their piece of the pie. MoTax Relief Now is one of the only grassroots organizations that will sit at that committee hearing and be the opposite of those lobbyists and the consultants. And they're the ones that speak up for the taxpayer. We are the ones. MoTax Relief Now, we are the ones who speak up for the taxpayer and say, hey, no, get your hands out of my pocket. We're not doing any more. Enough is enough. You've got plenty of our money. You're going to have to figure it out. And so that's really our focus, is on the taxpayer. We're not focused on social issues. We let other people handle those. MoTax Relief Now solely focused on taxes, budgets, and a little bit on the utilities side.
Okay. Very good. So what does Missouri's tax burden actually look like compared to other states? Are we as competitive as we should be here in Missouri?
Well, I think if we were as competitive as we could be, then we would be winning the competition. And right now, we're not winning the competition. There are people that are fleeing high-tax states in droves. So California, New York, Illinois, people are running out of those areas because of the way that their tax policies are structured. And where are they going? They're going to the no-income tax states, the low-tax, low-regulation states, where they're pro-business, and those are the states that are growing. So Missouri's tax code, if you look at any individual tax that we do, and you just look at it, on its own, it's not terrible. So you start talking about the real estate taxes. Well, compared to a lot of other places, it's not that bad. You start talking about the sales tax. Compared to a lot of other places, it's not that bad. We're very middle of the road. And that's how Missouri is across the board. And so we're not a high tax state on any individual tax, but you get nickeled and dimed to death on everything. So it's the personal property tax, the corporate tax, the payroll tax, the sales tax, the local sales tax, the state sales tax, the CIDs, the TIFs, the tax increment finance, all that stuff added up together. And Missouri's taxpayer is feeling that burden, and the taxpayer is screaming for relief right now. And so when MoTax Relief Now did the senior tax freeze, it gave everybody permission to get on board with that. So at the Capitol and just in the grassroots and around the public in general, everybody's, nobody wanted to vote against grandma. So you put a senior tax freeze in place first, and who wants to kick grandma out of her home because she can't pay her taxes? Nobody. But what that did, like I said, was it started this grassroots movement for low taxes, and now we're talking about tax freeze for everybody in a lot of counties. We're talking about, the zero income tax, and we really got a lot of momentum behind us. And what we did, more than anything, we broke the monopoly of these taxing entities just reaching into your pocket every 2 years. And it's a different one every 2 years. So it's a museum board, the library board, the school board, the fire district, the police board. Every service that the government provides, they're just after you, and they're coming at you from all angles. And so what MoTax Relief now did with the senior tax freeze is drew a line in the sand and said, no, enough is enough. We're not doing it anymore.
Very good. What does high taxation hurt the most in Missouri, and why doesn't that story get told enough?
Well, I think that because any individual tax isn't that high compared to somebody else. It's all a comparison game. So, when you talk about the property taxes, people can say, well, it's not terrible compared to, Hawaii, compared to California, compared to New York. But what the tax hurts the most is that when you tax something, you get less of it. And so, like right now, the reason that we're pushing for the zero income tax is that we want to eliminate one of these streams of taxes. So, everybody has their best idea on which tax to eliminate first. You start talking about taxes, they're going to say, I want the personal property tax eliminated. That's usually the first one, because you feel like you're paying rent on your car. And then right after that, they say property taxes, they just skyrocket on me and I can't afford to stay in my home. And so that's usually the second one. And then usually third on the list is the income tax. But the income tax, that's actually the highest tax that you pay. That's the biggest bill, but you don't see it, because it's just this insidious, hidden, embedded tax that your employer takes out of your check. You get your direct deposit on Fridays, and you don't even calculate how much you're paying in income tax. You hire a CPA to do your taxes at the end of the year. You just try to, oh, please don't tell me. I don't want to know how much I actually paid in income taxes. And so what we want to do with the zero income tax is really we want to encourage people to invest in themselves. We want to encourage people to save. We want you to feel like your work is really worth it and that you are able to gain, so that when you get a raise, the government doesn't get a raise. And so moving from an income tax to a consumption tax, it's a more stable source of income, especially with fiat currency and the amount of money that they print. You want to collect that on the back end rather than taking it from people up front, because when they print all that money, where does it go? It goes to the corporations, it goes up the chain almost as fast as they print it. And so when you start taxing income, we want people to, whatever income they can get, we want you to have it for yourself so that you know how to spend your money better than the government does.
Okay. Very good. In that, what's the biggest obstacle you've run into trying to move the needle on tax policy at the state level?
The zero income tax really just got started this year. Some of the biggest obstacles, the hurdles that you have to cross is just, one, making a big change, because people are resistant to change. Whenever you give a big idea, people can shoot holes in it. It's really easy to do that. But some of the individual things that people are looking at are, how will it affect the low income? How will it affect seniors who are on a fixed income? And, is it going to be unfair and just give more money to wealthy people who don't really need it? Another concern is you're just going to raise taxes and blow up the budget. Those concerns are addressed with the legislation, but it's a tough process to get through because it is a multi-step process. So the first thing that we have to do is just ask voters, do you want to do this? And this is what HB 173, 174 does. It puts it on the ballot and the voters have to decide. Do you want the legislature to put forth legislation that will eliminate your income tax and do it in a reasonable timeline? So that's step one. And then the second part of that is, if we're going to do it, how fast do we want to do it? So HB 173, it's a trigger bill. And so it caps revenue at 2025 levels plus inflation, and anything that the government gets on top of that is returned to the people in the form of a lower income tax. So that's the core of the legislation. The second part of it is, if we want to raise revenues to hit those triggers faster, do we want to expand the sales tax base? Our sales tax code was made in the 1930s, and there's a lot of services that are out there that just didn't exist back then. A lot of the stuff that you do with your podcast, I'm sure, has digital ads, digital services, online subscriptions that people are buying these days. The economy is moving online, and so the tax code should also move online to capture some of that churn in the economy, to help broaden the base and to have a broad-based low rate, which is what a tax policy should be. Adding on additional taxes on services, that's a concern for people. And so what services are you going to add on? Who's going to be taxed? How much? When? They want to know everything right away. And those are things that have to be answered in time, because you don't want to put all of that information in up front into the Constitution where it could never be changed again. So this will be a process that has to evolve in statutes, and not everything can go into the Constitution directly up front. And so all that big change, it scares the crap out of some people, and they don't trust the government, which you shouldn't trust the government. Don't trust me, but I want you to trust me, but you shouldn't. So what we have to do as to get the message out on this is to make sure that we are letting people know the full information about what the bill does, what the legislature can do, and how it's going to affect you. And so we feel like it's going to help all income levels. The lower income people, they're going to have more opportunity. Seniors, we took care of them first with the senior tax freeze, with eliminating the capital gains taxes, with eliminating taxes on Social Security income. Also, this bill, when you broaden the sales tax base, it will lower either your personal property, real property, or sales tax at the local level. So you might see lower grocery taxes in exchange for a broadened sales tax base. So this policy of moving from an income tax to a consumption tax, it's what places like Tennessee, Texas, Florida, all the states that are growing, all the states that are attracting new businesses, that are attracting population growth, this is the way to go. And we feel like Missouri can do it, should do it, and we should be the leaders in this country, and not just middle of the road like we have been in the recent past.
Okay. Very good, Niles. So winding down on the questions with Mo tax relief now, a lot of people separate activism from candidate. You seem to be saying they're the same thing. Make the case.
Yeah, definitely. People elect you, and they want to, they want to hear from you. They want to hear what you think. They want to know who you're talking to. What is the scuttlebutt in Jefferson City? What's going to get done? What's not going to get done? And, being an elected official comes with a lot of responsibility. And it comes with making sure that we're giving voters good information, and that we're giving them enough information, and that we're being responsive to voters, so that when people do have concerns, that we're going to listen to those concerns, and that we're going to answer with clarity, and so that there is no confusion and they know exactly where we stand. So that's why, like Mo Tax Relief now, we're helping sponsor a town hall at the end of the month on April 30th at DePere Lodge. You all are certainly welcome to join us. And one of the things that we're asking people to do is bring those tough questions. And so we're going to have Representative Ben Keithley there. We're going to have State Senator Nick Schroer there. And, they're ready for it. They want to hear those tough questions. They want to be able to provide answers that people have. People have tough questions. They don't know how this is going to affect them in their personal life, and we want to hear from those people. And so we're asking everybody to come out on April 30th to really dig into the details and how this could affect your pocketbook.
Okay, very good. So let's dig into some Amendment 3. Amendment 3 coming up in the November ballot would be it would repeal the 2024 constitutional right to abortion and ban most abortion within Missouri. It would also prohibit gender transition procedures for minors. So Missouri voters approved abortion access in 2024, and now legislature is asking them to reverse it. Where do you stand on Amendment 3, and how do you make the case to voters for it or against it?
Sure. I'm a proponent of Amendment 3. I help organize some of the town halls for the Right to Life, pro-life campaign kickoff. And in our district, I'll be talking to voters about Amendment 3. I'm not going to run away from that issue. Some politicians are like, "Ooh, that's a sticky one," But we want what's best for our culture, and we want what's best for families. And what we have right now is we've went from one of the most pro-life states in the country to one of the most pro-abortion states in the country. One of the most terrible things that it did was it eliminated all these protections that were set in place over 60 years, and all the safety standards are gone. There's no accountability, there's no liability. Doctor does you wrong, you can't even go after them to get compensated for damages. So making sure that we bring back the safety standards and we take it, again, out of the Constitution and back into the statutes, where the elected officials can put some guardrails on the medical establishment, those types of issues, to make sure that women are protected, to make sure that children are protected. Missourians want to be a pro-life state. Nobody wants to be the most abortion-friendly state in the union. I don't even think the Democrats want that. This is one of those areas where the Republican legislature did listen to the people and allow for some of the hard questions that were asked during the last debate on this. And when you start asking a lot of tough questions about individuals' circumstances, then it really becomes hard for there to be one-size-fits-all policy for every woman in every position. And so I think that this new Amendment 3, it'll protect life, it'll make us a pro-life state, and at the same time it'll protect women.
Very good. And Niles, the gender transition prohibition for minors is bundled into the same amendment as the abortion language. Do you think those two issues belong together on the same ballot? And does that framing help or hurt?
I think it helps, because whenever they sold the pro-abortion bill, what they sold was that, oh no, this has nothing to do with the transgender stuff. What are you talking about? Like, they denied it. But what actually happened was totally different. And so it was a little trickeration there on the part of the pro-abortion activists and the outside money, the outside groups that came in here and spent millions of dollars to push this through. But what they did with the transgender issues is they left it into the hands of a child to make life-altering decisions that a child, in no other circumstance would you ever let a child make such a life-changing decision like this. So having some guardrails again, getting it back in the statutes, I think that that's going to be best for kids and best for families.
Very good. Moving on to Amendment 4, which is also going to be at the November election ballot. It would require citizen initiative constitutional amendments to pass not just statewide, but in each of Missouri's 8 congressional districts. The threshold that analysis found that every citizen initiative amendment since 2020 would have failed to meet. So the question is, Amendment 4 would make it significantly harder for citizens to amend the state constitution through the initiative petition process, or as I call it, the direct democracy. But as someone who cares about tax policy reform, does that concern you, or do you see it as a necessary guardrail?
A necessary guardrail for sure, because what we see right now is that we get a lot of left-leaning Democrat, policies coming into our state through the current initiative petition process, where you just have to go to the largest urban areas, you spend a ton of money, and you essentially get to legislate from the parking lot. The power structure in our urban areas has just been running roughshod over the voters across the entire state. And so you're absolutely right to call it direct democracy versus our form of republic, that we should be, and to have voices heard all throughout the state when we're deciding on these issues that affect everybody. You shouldn't just have a few counties deciding for the rest of the state. And so I think it's imperative that it gets done. This might be one of the last shots that we have to get both Amendment 3 and Amendment 4 across the finish line, because it was a tough battle. I mean, Amendment 4, the IP debate in the House and in the Senate has been going on for years and years, and we got it close, and then it failed at the end, and this person gets blamed for not getting it done, that group gets blamed for not getting it done, and finally we have it on the ballot here, and we can really make sure that whenever the public speaks, it should be the entire public. And so having 8 of 8 congressional districts coming to have to vote on that, something as important as our Constitution, it really puts the Constitution back in its proper place as a standard for us. And there's just way too much in there. There's bingo in there. There's marijuana in there. Minimum wage is in there. These are all things that legislature should be evolving with the times and should be changing as the times go, but they can't touch it because millionaires came in here and purchased an amendment or an initiative petition. So getting rid of that and still having the legislature will still have ability to put things on the ballot for people to vote for. So that's not going away. If you get enough support from across the state, you can still get something done. And we can't let Kansas City, St. Louis, and Springfield Democrats legislate from the parking lot. We're done with that.
Okay, very good. I've already kind of answered this last question. So if and when Amendment 4 passes, what does that mean for the future of citizen-led tax relief efforts in Missouri?
Well, I'm obviously make it harder to do. So if somebody's got a great idea when it comes to tax policy and they want to do it through an initiative petition, it's going to be an uphill battle, and to get it passed in all over the state, that would be very difficult to do. But it should be difficult, and what we should be doing is leaning on our legislators and holding them accountable for what you want done in your government. We elect these people. We pay them to go speak for us at the Capitol, and there's a bunch of legislators out there, not anybody in particular, but just as a countrywide, who really give up their legislative power, and they want things done through the courts. They want policy done through executive order. They want some other committee, somebody else. Hey, I'm just here. You guys handle this. I'm just here as either a rubber stamp or, I'm just the final check mark that will sign off on whatever you want to do. But what we really want is legislators who are going to dig in and really, like I said, know what the issue is, be able to communicate it effectively to their constituents, and the legislators should really take the lead on things like a minimum wage, a bingo, marijuana, laws. All this stuff that got bloated into our Constitution, those are all things that legislators should really be taking the lead on, and that's where the citizens should be holding their legislators accountable, and not just allowing out-of-state millions to stand out in the parking lot. And these Democrat activists, and they lie, cheat, and steal their way to getting these signatures on there. I saw them at the polling place yesterday. They would talk to a voter, and they'll say, "Oh, this is a nonpartisan issue. This is nonpartisan. This is, we don't take anybody's side in this. This is just for your voice to be heard." And they'll just tell anybody anything to get them to sign the paper. And then they turn right around and they go start talking to the Democrat candidate about when the next Democrat committee meeting is and who's on their email list and everything like that. And so we don't want people out, like I said, trying to legislate from the parking lot. We want our elected leaders and elected officials to do their job and to get legislation passed that is going to be representative of the entire state.
Very good. And we're about to wind down, and I'll ask you this question now, and then I'll ask it again at the end just for reinforcing it. Niles Stephens for House District 110. So, Niles, where can people find you, follow your campaign, and get involved with it if they want to volunteer for you?
Sure. NilesForMissouri.com. That's the website, so that's the easiest place to sign up to donate. We do need donations. And I'm also on Facebook. I'll post things on there regularly and interact with folks there. Twitter, Twitter, I think it's just Niles Stephens. On Facebook, Niles for House District 110. And then, of course, the website, NilesForMissouri.com.
Yep. Look at that. Good-looking family there, Niles, as well. So, let's see. Closing it up here. Let me get at some rapid-fire questions for you. Some of it's to get to know you, but some of it's to check the 7 inches in between your ears, too. So, we got 15 questions here. Cardinals or Chiefs?
Cardinals. No question. Not even close.
Missouri's biggest city.
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, man, I'll say St. Louis. I think St. Louis is way underrated.
Yeah. One word to describe Jefferson City right now, today.
One word to describe Jefferson City right now, I would say struggling.
Okay. Last book you actually finished reading?
I was reading the Taipan and series, the James, what's his name? But it was like a 500-page book, and somebody gave it to me. They recommended it, and I was like, sure, I'll read a book. And they didn't tell me it was 500 pages, but I think it was Taipan.
Okay. Tax cut or spending cut? You can only pick one.
Spending cut.
Term limits, yes or no?
can see why the voters should be the term limit. So I'll put it that way. The term limits should be on the voters. But I'm not completely opposed to term limits. Changing the term limits, extending them, I could see there's reason for that.
Most overused word in politics.
Overused word in politics. I get misinformation, probably, and I've used it.
Yeah. Coffee or energy drink on the campaign trail?
Coffee. Black.
Coffee. What Missouri law you'd repeal tomorrow?
Amendment 3.
There you go. Elon Musk, hero, villain, or neither?
Hero. Genius.
Hero. Yep. Free speech advocate. The government program you'd eliminate first?
TIFs.
Okay. Best thing about Missouri that no one talks about?
The hiking trails and waterways. Outdoors.
Okay. Biggest myth about conservatives?
That we're crazy and that we're going to just tear everything apart and that we hate people that work in the government.
The politician, alive or dead, you'd have dinner with?
President Trump, of course.
What do your opponents underestimate about you?
I would say they are going to underestimate. They're not going to underestimate work ethic. They're not going to underestimate what I do, but they're probably going to underestimate what I know.
Very good. And how many? I heard there was a few that threw their name in the hat at the end on your campaign, talking to James with GrayRock.digital. But what? How many competitors have thrown their name in the race for you?
There's 2 of us on the Republican ballot and then 1 Democrat that will be.
Okay, so all right. So let me close this up. Is there anything that we didn't cover, Niles, that you want to address the Show Me Sentinel audience?
No, I think those were some great questions that you had. I appreciate you having me on and to talk about the issues. And so to put it into practice here with you has been great. I want to thank my family for being behind me. Thank my wife, Michelle, who whenever Justin Sparks called me and said that he was resigning, I looked at her and I was like, hey, it's time. Are you with me? And so luckily she gave me the wife endorsement, which was key. And so just really appreciative for my family, really appreciative to the voters. Like I said, I was out at the polls yesterday, and just so many people who I know in the community coming up to me and just, telling me good luck, wishing me the best. We've had a fantastic first quarter of fundraising. We have a lot of donors coming in, a lot of people lining up to support us and to support our efforts. And we think we have a great message. I think that I'm a great candidate. And I'm just really looking forward to doing the work. And a lot of people will ask you, like, well, why would you want to do this? Like, why in the world would you want to get involved in politics? That sounds horrible, like, because you get all the negativity with it. It's not all just, sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of negativity out there. But, I'm gonna rise above all of that noise and really just be focused on the goal, which is growing Missouri, which is making this place a better place for my family, a better place for your family, making sure that our economy is growing, that we're bringing in new businesses. And so the reason that I'm willing to kind of accept some of the criticism and accept some of the kind of the ups and downs of a campaign, because a campaign, it's an emotional roller coaster. Some days you feel great, and then the next day you read something on social media and you're just, it's a gut punch. And so I'm willing to do all of that because I know my heart's in the right place. I know that I've got the work ethic. I know that I've got the knowledge and the relationships built to be a good representative and to really help this state move forward. And I'm just really excited about those things. And so, like I said, thank you again for having me on.
Yeah, one more kind of more selfish question for me. So, glad to hear that you were a committeeman. Put my name in the hat for committeeman here in Arnold. I'm unopposed. My wife she also put her name in for committee woman. She is opposed, not necessarily asking you for campaign suggestions, but how have you been successful transfer the knowledge to somebody who's going to be taking the reins of that role? How does Niles Stephens tell any committeeman out there to be successful? How about that?
Sure. So as a committee man, I feel like, you are the grassroots of the party. And so as grassroots, what you really are is that you are the network and the structure for the legislators. So you're their support team to help them do all the yard signs, the mailers, the meetings, the scheduling those types of things, the picnics that you host and everything, but you're also a vocal, accountability partner. And so those legislators should be leaning on their committee people to learn from them. And so one of the things that I really tried to do as a committee person is really take both of those routes. Like I got connected with the legislators, and so I got all their phone numbers. I text back and forth with them. I call them regularly. I'm in contact with them regularly so that they know that whenever I've got a constituent, because you're an elected official as well. So whenever you've got somebody in your ear about a problem, that you can help take it up the chain to the legislator. That's really important. And then also the data collection, the communications, and being consistent. Those are the things that we've tried to do in my short time as a committee man, is do a better job to have better meetings so that we're really well prepared, so that our meetings don't get bogged down and they don't get sidetracked and that people leave there all frustrated. We want to have a good presentation. Part of doing good politics is also doing a good presentation and making sure that you're polished, that you're organized, that you're on time, that you're on schedule, that you have good questions prepared for the legislators, that you set them up so that they can do a good job explaining the issues to the people. And that when people leave your meetings, and that's really what the committee is going to do, is organize groups together, organize voters you're the kind of the conduit and the liaison for the legislator. When you do that, you want a good show, and you want people to leave with good information that they can take back to their circle. So, that's politics right there, is that you got a circle of 10, they're going to talk to their circle, they're going to talk to their circle, and that's how the word is going to get spread. And so the committee man role and the committee woman role is vital for our success as a party. So as a Republican Party, we want people on board, we want people working together, we don't want a lot of infighting and a lot of arguing. As committee people, we don't need to argue the policy as much, we don't need to argue the people, we just need to do the nuts and bolts of making sure that we get people to the polls, we get people to the meetings, we get people on the email list, and we help spread that grassroots organization that is, like I said, just vital for a party to survive.
All right, very good. Well, thanks, Niles. And again, where can people find you, follow your campaign, get involved, and the most important thing, support you?
Yes, go to the website, nilesformissouri.com. Yes, we're taking donations still. Like I said, we had a great first quarter of donations, but running a campaign, especially we have one of the few contested primaries in the Republican Party. So if you want the best Republican and the best conservative in there who's going to do the best job, I think I am the man for that. And so I do need your donations. Then, social media is important to get information as well. So having a good social media presence really helps the grassroots and helps get the word out online. So follow me on Facebook, Niles for House District 110, or just search me, Niles Stephens. You can find me there. And also if you're on X instead of Facebook, Niles Stephens on X.
Very good. Well, thanks, Niles, and good luck on the campaign trail. We'll see you out there crossing our paths at Jeff City and otherwise.
All right. Thanks, Oscar. Have a great day.
Yep. Oscar with Show Me Sentinel, signing off.